Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone to our Srimad Bhagavatam movie class. Thank you for joining in. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानो सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on Canto 3. And last time we completed second chapter, which is entitled The Remembrance of Lord Krishna. So in this chapter, we heard that when Vidura, he met Uddhavji for the first time, and he asked about the welfare of Krishna and the Yadu dynasty. Uddhava, he went into ecstasy. He stayed in ecstasy for 48 minutes. And then he came back to the external consciousness and he started describing. And he described first that, oh, Krishna Dyumani Nimaloche, oh, Krishna's sun has set. What can we speak of about, what can we speak of our good fortune? So then he describes some philosophical concepts about the appearance of the Supreme Lord. And then he described the various pastimes. And in the last section of the second chapter, he described the pastimes in Vraja. Because Uddhava, he was not so interested in discussing the disappearance pastimes of Krishna. So therefore, he describes the pastimes from the birth. So he described how in Braja, Krishna took birth and he was taken to Mathura. There he killed so many demons and he lifted Govardhan hill and he danced on the hoods of Kalia. He performed Ras Leela. This is all what we discussed in the second chapter. So now in the third chapter, which is entitled Lord's Pastimes Out of Vrindavan. Uddhava in this chapter also continues to narrate all the pastimes of Krishna. So Uddhava, he continues in the first verse, he says, Krishna, he went to Mathura and he begged pardon from his parents. That's what Uddhava said. It is bewildering me. Who is Krishna? He is a supreme Lord. And he is asking forgiveness from his parents. It doesn't befit him. Karmanyani hasya bhavo bhavasya te durga shrayothari bhayat palayanam. Kalatmano yat pramadayutashrama swatman rate khidyati dhir vidamiha. So the great devotees of the Lord, even they are confused about the various activities Lord is doing. Lord has nothing to do in this world, but still he is working. He's behaving like an ordinary householder, taking care of all the household activities. That is bewildering. He does not take, he is unborn, but still he takes birth. That is also bewildering. So this is also one of the things which bewildered Uddhava, that Krishna, he asked forgiveness from his parents. And then he describes that Krishna, he dragged Kamsa publicly in front of everyone. First he threw Kamsa out, from the dais where he was sitting, and then he pounded Kamsa with his fist and he, killed him. That was not sufficient. He dragged him all over the arena So why Krishna did that? Krishna wanted to make sure that, all the people, they believe me that I have killed this personality. He wanted to generate faith that I am powerful enough, so that in the future when I'll give some decision, they'll believe my decisions also. So Kamsa, he was a demon, and Krishna punished him publicly. Therefore, Krishna, although Kamsa was his uncle, he broke the general rule. Generally, nobody should kill his relatives. But Krishna, he broke his rule for a higher purpose. But he doesn't do this always. He does it only when it is absolutely necessary. So Krishna killed Kamsa himself, but he made Balramji kill all the brothers of Kamsa, because Balramji was not directly related to Kamsa. So that's what Chakravarti Thakur writes. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that just to convince the public that Kamsa is actually killed, Krishna dragged Kamsa's dead body. And then he remembers how Krishna, he went to Sandipani Muni's ashram. In 64 days, he learned 64 arts. One art may take few years. He learned all the small arts, art of painting, and then sculpture and architect, which daughter is learning. It may take years, but Krishna learned in a day. In a day, he learned every art. So therefore, and Uddhava says that when after giving all the knowledge, Sandipani Muni, he had to be given Guru Dakshina. So that is the traditional parampara. So Sandipani Muni, he asked him that, can you please bring my dead son back? So that is what Uddhava is remembering. That Krishna, he is a supreme Lord, he can do anything. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, what is the need of Krishna to go and study under some person? He is the personality from whom all the Vedas are coming. Vedesha sarvai rahame vedyo vedanta krit veda videva. Krishna is saying, I am the compiler of the Vedanta. But still he is, taking this step and going to learn from Sandipani Muni, so that nobody in the future can say that I also don't need Guru. Because Krishna himself didn't study under anyone. So why should I study under anyone? So therefore, Lord, he wants to establish the principles, because that is his responsibility. Whatever great personality does, common people follow. Yad yad acharati sreshta tad tad eve tarojana. And Prabhupada writes that Lord is so very grateful to each and every living entity. And in this case, because Sandipani Muni, he gave him some knowledge, although he doesn't need it. But Lord is so very grateful that he is ready to go to Yamlok, and he brings the dead son of Sandipani Muni back. So that's how Lord is grateful to anyone who comes and surrenders unto him. That is the beauty of the Lord. Kritagya, Kritagya means, Krita means anybody who has done something, Gya, you should remember. That is Kritagyata. So Lord is the most grateful person. In Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna is describing 4 types of people come to me, Chaturvida bhajante mam, jana sukritano arjuna arto jigyasu artharthi jnani. He says they are all magnanimous souls. Udarah sarva evaite. What is the magnanimity these people have done? Krishna thinks that at least they have come to me. They could have gone anywhere. They could have gone to Devatas also. But they are coming to me. So that's why they are magnanimous. So Lord is very, very grateful to anybody who comes to him. And that's how he expects that we should be also grateful for whatever we have received. So we have received Krishna consciousness by the mercy of the devotees. So we should be very, very grateful. None of us endeavored to come. Very few of us may have endeavored to come to Krishna consciousness. We came in touch with some devotees, or somehow devotees trick us. Just like Prabhupada was asked, one time Prabhupada asked, am I simple or crooked? Everybody said, Prabhupada, you are simple. Prabhupada said, no, I am crooked. I came to your country and I tricked all of you to come to Krishna consciousness. That's how devotees also trick us sometimes, in the name of prasad khane ke liye aa jao, so many ways devotees trick us. So that's how Lord is trying so many ways so that he can bring all the conditioned souls back to him. I was just reading that Lord appears in every species of life. There are 84 lakh species of life. Lord appears, incarnates in each and every species of life. Bhakti Vidyapun Maharaj was telling that in Narsimha Puran, there is a description that Lord appears in the species of mosquito also. And in that incarnation, what happens? All the devatas, they come and they buzz around the Lord and then they go. And that's how the pastime is over. The Lord's incarnation is only for a few minutes. But that is the compassion Lord has. That he wants to attract each and every species of life. And then he's remembering how Krishna, he kidnapped Rukmini. Because Rukmini was attracted to Krishna and she wrote a letter, Shrutva gunan bhuvana sundara shinvatam te nirvishya karna vivarai harato angatapam. Shrutva gunan, oh my Lord, I have heard about your glories. So Rukmini was attracted to Krishna and Krishna was also attracted by Rukmini. So Uddhava says, attracted by the beauty of Rukmini, Krishna came and he defeated all the kings who were there. Jarasandha was there, Shishupal was there, Rukmi was there. And he carried away Rukmini just like Garuda took away his own share. So in this pastime, there is a wonderful thing which happens. When Krishna is taking Rukmini, so all the warriors, they are chasing Krishna. And at one point of time, Rukmini, because she's a small girl, she's in teenagers. So she is becoming really, really fearful, seeing all the armies. So Krishna just speaks a very beautiful verse. He says, Prahasya Bhagavan aha masmai bhama lochane vinangshatya dhunai vaitat tavakai shatravam balam. He says, so Krishna smiled first of all. Rukmini is trembling and Krishna is smiling. Prahasya, so smilingly he said, oh Vamalochane, oh beautiful eyed one, don't worry. Your army will defeat this army in no time. Can you see the compassion of Krishna? He has just kidnapped Rukmini and he's saying, all this my army, this is your army. So that's how Krishna is ready to give himself to his devotees at the least expected moment. Problem is we say, no, abhi nahi, itni jaldi nahi. I don't want you now. So that's how Krishna is ready to give himself. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Krishna desires to share his blissful opulence with all the living entities. That's why he's working so much. And that's why Uddhava is remembering how Krishna, he was ready to give everything to Rukmini. He's saying, Tavakai, it is your army, One more thing which we can learn from this pastime of kidnapping of Rukmini, Krishna didn't come till last moment. So just marriage is about to happen, night has passed, still Krishna has not come. Rukmini is going to the temple of Ambika, still Krishna didn't come. The last moment Krishna came. So Krishna has tested Rukmini to the last moment. So we should be also ready to be tested till last moment. And we should have that faith and patience. Krishna will come for sure. That's why these pastime is displayed in his wonderful Leela. So we should have that patience that Krishna may give us the taste at the end, but that he will give the taste, So we may be struggling with our chanting, with our hearing of Bhagavatam, no taste, Durdaivam idrisha mihajanina anuraga, no taste, but still we should continue. Because Krishna tests his devotees. He likes to test his devotees so that he knows that this devotee is now advancing or not. So he doesn't like stagnant devotees. I am there at the same place since last 10 years. Prabhuji, मैं उधर ही हूँ. आगे भी नहीं गया, पीछे भी नहीं गया. No, Krishna doesn't like that. Krishna likes a person who struggles to go ahead in Krishna consciousness. So that's how Krishna, he came. So Uddhava is remembering, Krishna came and he carried away Rukmini, just like Garuda. So that's why, that is exactly what Rukmini told Krishna to do. Tanme bhavan khalu vrita patiranga jaya atmarpitascha bhavato atra vibho videhi Mavir bhagam abhimarshatu chaidya marad go ma yuvan mrigpater balimam bujaksha. This is one of the verses which Rukmini wrote to Krishna. So she's telling, "Oh my Lord, please come and take me away from the midst of the jackals. You are like the lion, and I belong to you. So please take me away from the midst of the jackals." So that's how Uddhava is remembering. And then he remembers how Krishna, he subdued 7 very, very powerful bulls and won the hand of Nagnajiti. So Nagnajiti, her father was Nagnajit, and he had, put a Swayamvar where the kings had to defeat 7 bulls, and they were very, very powerful, ferocious bulls. They had broken the limbs of so many of the kings in the past. And the king, Nagnajita, knew that Krishna can easily defeat them. And he wanted to give his daughter to Krishna. But he was fearful that if I give my daughter to Krishna directly, then all the other kings, they will attack me. So when Krishna came, Nagnajit said, "Oh my Lord, I know that you are most powerful, but just to fulfill this Swayamvar ceremony promise, that please defeat all these bulls." And Krishna did it very easily. That is what he is remembering. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that Krishna, he defeated all the kings. When Krishna won the hand of Nagnajiti, all the kings, they attacked Krishna with the weapons in their hand. Krishna very effortlessly killed all of them. And he says that just like nothing happened to Krishna, just like he says, if somebody spits on the sun, nothing happens to the sun. What happens? He only gets contaminated. So all the kings, they attacked Krishna, nothing happened to Krishna, they were destroyed. Because anyone who attacks great personalities, anyone who insults great devotees, he loses his fortune, ayu, shriyo, yasha, dharma, lokan, ashisha evacha, hanti shreyamsi sarvani pumso mahadvatikramaha. If somebody offends great personalities, he loses his strength, his lifespan decreases, his fame decreases, everything is destroyed in his life. So similarly, all these kings, they were destroyed. Then he remembers one time Bhaumasur. Bhaumasur was the son of Krishna himself. When he took avatar as Varahadev, and he lifted Mother Earth. So he impregnated Mother Earth that time, and Bhaumasur was born. He was a son of the Supreme Lord himself. But because of the association with a demon called Banasur, he became demoniac. He stole the earrings of Aditi, the mother of the Devatas. And he stole some of the, it is described, he stole some of the holiday resorts of the Devatas. So he could do that also. So all the Devatas, they went to Krishna. And Krishna, he went along with Satyabhama, because Satyabhama is the expansion of Mother Earth. So he wanted to kill the son of Mother Earth. He wanted to take permission from Satyabhama. I am going to kill your son. So that's how he is remembering that Krishna, he killed this Narakasur. And interestingly, when he went to give this earrings and the holiday places back to Indra, Indra was happy and satisfied. But because Satyabhama was always also there, she liked that Parijat because she was envious of Rukmini. One time Narad Muni brought one Parijat flower for Rukmini. So Satyabhama, as that is a transcendental envy. So she said, I want whole tree. So Krishna, he uprooted a Parijat tree from heaven. And Indra, he is mentioned here as a henpecked husband. He is blinded by the beauty of Shachi, his wife, and he attacked Krishna. So of course Krishna defeated Indra. So Uddhava is remembering all these pastimes. Prabhupada writes, there was no fault on the part of the Lord, even though he took away the tree from heavenly kingdom. But because Indra was henpecked, he became a fool. Indra thought that Krishna was a henpecked. But the principle is Atmavat Manyate Jagat. If we can see some bad qualities in somebody, that means that quality is there in us also. Otherwise, we cannot see a bad quality in others. So therefore, pure devotees, from pure devotee perspective, he sees everybody as, a pure jiva only. So a person, he finds faults because there is some fault in that person also. So Indra is thinking, oh, Krishna is henpecked because he is himself henpecked. So this is what Uddhava is remembering. And then he described how Krishna killed Narkasur. And then he is remembering that when Krishna, after killing Narkasur, he entered the palace of Narkasur. He saw 16,100 princesses. They were kidnapped and they were kept. And as soon as they saw Krishna, they were so very happy. That is the difference between Ram avatar and Krishna avatar. In Ram avatar, he married only one wife. And all the sages of Dandakaranya, they also wanted to marry Lord Ram as in a conjugal way. So Lord Ram is saying, look, there are two problems. You are in the male body. And I have taken a vow of Ek Patni Vrata. So in the next lifetime you come and then I'll marry. So in the Vedic times, if somebody even touches a woman, she will not be married to another person. Nobody will marry that girl. And all these 16,000 queens, princesses, they were kidnapped by Narkasur. But Krishna, that's why, some people say Krishna was a social reformer. He, helped and, delivered all these princesses. He married all of them. So therefore, Lord is described here as friend of the distressed. So that's why Krishna is called as Karuna Sindhu. He is Prem Parayan. He is not Dharma Parayan. He is ready to break the rules to please his devotees. He is not thinking, oh, what will happen to the Dharma? For him, Prema is the most important thing. So that's why Uddhava is remembering all that. And then he managed to build a separate palace for each of them. Not just one room in one for each queen in one palace. Every queen had a different palace with a courtyard, with lakes and garden and everything. That is Krishna. And not only that, he gave everyone 10 offsprings. So after remembering this, he continues to remember a very wonderful incident where he's saying that Lord is so very wonderful. Lord is most beautiful, and the most beautiful aspect of the Lord is he likes to share his glory with his devotees. He wants to give all the glory, all the credit to his devotees. He could have killed all the demons himself. Who knows in the outside world who was Aghasur, Bakasur? Very few. Everyone knows Jarasandh. Everyone knows Duryodhan. But Krishna didn't kill them. He gave the credit of killing all these big, powerful demons to his devotees. That is how, Krishna is so very wonderful. He likes to give fame to his devotees. Nimitta matram bhava sabyasachi. So that is what he is remembering. In this world, nobody will do that. If somebody, gets a seat in the IIT, he will not give credit to the clerk of his coaching institute. But Krishna is doing that. He will not give the credit to the instrument pen. Oh, this pen wrote the exam. No. Krishna is giving all the credit to the instrument. Nimitta matram bhava sabyasachi. So that's why, who will not get attracted to Krishna? So Prabhupada writes, Lord descended at the request of Brahma to kill all the undesirables, but to divide the share of the glory, he sometimes engages his devotees to take the credit. So that is the beauty of the Lord. He made, this personality called Yavan, Akal Yavan. He was killed by the king called Muchukunda, and Muchukunda was glorified. So that's how Lord is so very merciful. He gives all the credit to his devotees. And then he is remembering how Krishna and Balram, they killed so many of the other demons. Krishna killed Dantavakra, Shambarasur. The story comes in the 10th canto. Shambarasur, he was killed by Pradyumna. There was a monkey called as Dvirda, gorilla. He was a gorilla actually. So he was from Treta Yuga. He was an associate of Lord Ram. He also got corrupted by the influence of some demons. So this is a very, very interesting thing which comes again and again, that even if somebody is son of Krishna, even if somebody has served Krishna, served Lord Ram, there is no guarantee that you will always be safe. You'll always be protected. If we get into bad association, we can get distracted at any moment. So we should have a healthy fear of Maya. Prabhupada would say many times, my devotees don't fear Maya enough. So we have to fear Maya enough. And that's why we should be eager to stay in association of devotees. So Dvivirda, he was killed by Balram, then Banasur, Mura, Balwal, all these demons he is remembering. And then he is remembering how Krishna, he orchestrated the entire battle of Kurukshetra. So many demons were killed, so many powerful kings were killed. But one of the very, very interesting and beautiful aspect of Krishna is described here. We'll recite this verse. Sakarna dusha shana saubalanam Kumantra pake nahata shriyayushaha Suyodhanam sanucharam shayanam Bhagnoru urvyam nanananda pashyan. So on the last day of the battle, when Duryodhan and Bhima, they fought, and Bhima broke the thigh of Duryodhan, and he was lying down crying in pain. So Karna Dushashana Saubala, because of the Kumantra, because of the ill advice given by Karna, Dushashana, Subala, Suyodhana. So just see, Sukdev Goswami is giving such respect to Duryodhan. He is telling him Suyodhan. Actually, his name was earlier Suyodhan only. But because of his bad activities, he became Duryodhan. Dussashan was called as Susashan. He became Dushashan because of his bad activities. Saubala is one of the friends of Duryodhana. I am not aware of the details. It's mentioned here. Suyodhanam. Now Suyodhan, Duryodhan was laying on the ground with his thigh broken. But Krishna, who orchestrated everything, na nananda pashyan, he was not happy to see this situation of Duryodhan. So this shows the heart of Krishna. Although he has orchestrated this entire war and he has made Bhima, he indicated Bhima, hit on the thigh of Duryodhan. And now he is lying down on the ground, but Krishna is not so happy. Why? Because of two reasons. One is because all the living entities, they are part and parcel of Krishna. Everybody is his son. So Krishna does not like anyone suffering. And second reason is he was thinking this 18 Akshohini divisions are killed, but there is a bigger burden which is yet remaining. That is the burden of the Yadu dynasty. That's why he was not happy. So there are two extremes. Somebody may take pleasure in punishing someone, or the other extreme is, okay, we don't punish. Krishna, he was not happy in punishing. He follows this principle, hate the sin, not the sinner. So he was not hateful of Duryodhan. Brahmaji also prays like this. After creating all the universe and all the bodies of various living entities, Shut Trit Tridhatu Birima Muhuradyamana Shitoshna Vata Varsha Itaretaracha Kamagnina Sakalayonishu Dahyamana Sampashyato Mana Urukramasidate me. So Brahmaji is thinking, I have created these bodies which is royally made for giving pain only. Inside, a person suffers because of hunger and thirst, kapha, vata, pitta, always disturbed. Then externally, heat, cold, rain, all these things keep coming. That is not sufficient. Kam agnina sakala yonishu tahyamana. The fire of desire is burning each and every living entity. Sampashyato mana urukramasidate me. That is making me very, very sad. Brahmaji is telling. So the great devotees of the Lord and the Lord himself, they are never happy doing this service of giving pain to each and every living entity. Just like parents, they are not happy punishing the children. But that is their duty so that the children may get on the right path. So that's how Krishna was not so happy when he saw that, oh, all these people were killed and Duryodhana is lying in pain. And then Uddhava remembers that Krishna, he considered this Yadu dynasty as a burden. And he was thinking how to remove this burden. Prabhupada writes a huge purport to this verse. Prabhupada writes, it is wrong theory. Somebody says that, oh, there is overpopulation in the world. Population is increasing. There is no overpopulation, Prabhupada writes. It is a wrong theory if somebody says that the earth is overburdened. Earth is never overburdened. Prabhupada gives a scientific answer there. He says, if a census were taken of all the living beings, number of humans are not even 5% of all the living entities. All the living entities are being fed properly, right? So then how can people say there is overpopulation? There is no overpopulation. Problem is not overpopulation. Problem is what the population is doing. That is the problem. So Prabhupada writes it is completely wrong. There is no question of increase in population becoming a problem. Earth can sustain, as many living entities as we can generate, much more than that. So earth is qualified and sufficient. But because we are not in complete Krishna consciousness and God consciousness, Ishavasya principle, we all know the Ishavasya principle. Prabhupada gives an example. If a bag of wheat is lying in the public place, birds will come and take few grains and go away. A man will come and take away the entire bag. So that's why there is burden in the society. Prabhupada writes there are two types of burdens. Burden of love and burden of the beast. Burden of the beast means people who are, sinful. They become burden on Mother Earth. And there is another burden, that is burden of love. Prabhupada writes, he quotes Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He gives three examples of what is burden of love. Burden of lover carrying the female lover. Burden of the child on the lap of the father. And the burden of wealth on the businessman. If somebody gives one, bag full of gold biscuits to a businessman, well, thoda bhari ho raha hai, aap lenge kya? So he says, of course, what's the problem? He gives fourth example. He says, the burden of jewelry on a body of a woman. None of the women complain, zyada bhari ho gaya, or dalo chalega, So that is the burden which everyone likes. So when Krishna is referring Yadu dynasty as burden, he's not telling about the burden of beast. He's telling the burden of love and burden of separation. He's thinking, if these people, if I go before them, they will not be able to live properly. They'll become mad in separation. So let me send them first so that they are, peaceful. So that is the burden of all the Yadus. So therefore somebody says, how can Yadus be destroyed like ordinary people? Uddhava says, no, they are not destroyed like ordinary people. It was the desire of the Supreme Lord. Lord orchestrated the disappearance of the Yadu dynasty. That's why the Yadu dynasty disappeared. He remembered further pastimes. He remembered how Krishna established Maharaj Yudhishthir as the emperor of the earth. Krishna always wants pure devotees to become kings. One time, Prabhupada was giving an interview to a newspaper reporter, and there was some problem happening in some of the communist country, and Prabhupada was very upset. And Prabhupada was talking about the principles of dharmic king. And then in the end, this reporter asked, so according to you, Swamiji, who is the qualified person to rule the earth? Prabhupada said, me. But it so happened that the tape, got over. It was not recorded. So this newspaper reporter, he was shocked. How is he saying like this? But Prabhupada was very strong and firm. Another time, Prabhupada, all the devotees, they went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, what if we conquer all the earth and, everybody becomes Krishna conscious? Will you become the king? Prabhupada said, no, I'll become the minister. I'll become the teacher of the king, spiritual master of the king. I'll direct him. So that's how Prabhupada gives different replies in different occasions. So Krishna, he wants to establish Yudhishthir Maharaj and all the pious kings. Bharavatarana yanye bhuvo nava ivodado sidantya bhuri bharena jato yasya chikirshaya. So to remove the burden of the Mother Earth and to increase the glory of the pious kings, Lord appears in this world. So then he remembers how Krishna protected Parikshit Maharaj when he was in the womb of Uttara. Actually, he was dead. Parikshit Maharaj had already died because of Brahmastra. Krishna revived him back. He gave a second body to Parikshit Maharaj. So that's why Parikshit was, when he came out of the womb, why he was named as Parikshit? Because he was always doing the pariksha. Kisko dekha, in maa ke garbh mein, whom did I see? Inko dekha, no, inko dekha. So he was always doing pariksha. That's why he is called as Parikshit. So then Krishna, he induced Maharaj Yudhishthir to perform 3 Ashwamedh Yagyas, and he increased the glory of Maharaj Yudhishthir. So much so that even Devatas, even Indra, who performed 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas, the glory of Maharaj Yudhishthir was greater than the glory of Indra. Kamam vavarsha parjanya sarva kama dughamahi. Sarva kama dughamahi. When Yudhishthir was ruling, the entire world was happy. Earth was giving all the grains. The cows were wetting the ground, pouring down the milk without even being milked. That was the glory of Parikshit Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj. He was ruling the kingdom according to the principles laid down by Bhishma and Krishna. Bhishmoktam atha achyutoktam. So that is all Uddhava is remembering. And then he remembers how Krishna, he enjoyed life in the city of Dwarka, surrounded by all his wives. He exhibited the ideal household life, but he practiced detachment at the end. He was completely detached from household life. Although he was taking care of all the queens nicely, he was with them, and every queen was thinking that Krishna loves me the most. But Krishna had no attachment to the external beauty of all these queens. It comes in the 11th chapter of the first canto. When Krishna enters Dwarka, all the queens, they are trying to attract Krishna's attention by their smiles, by their glances. But Krishna is not affected. Krishna is attracted only by pure, unalloyed devotion. Uddama bhava pishunama laval guhasa Vriravalokanihito madano piyasam Sammuhya chapamajahat pramadottamasta Yasya indriyai vimathitum kuhakai nasheku. Uddama bhava, they were exhibiting all the various types of gestures and feminine beauty, so much so that Cupid can also get bewildered by that. But Krishna was not bewildered. Krishna was not attracted. Kuhakai na sheku. He was attracted by the devotion of these queens. So that is what he is remembering. And then he speaks this beautiful verse where Lord is described as a residence of goddess of fortune. We'll recite this verse. Snigdha smitava lokena vacha piyush kalpaya charitrena navadyena Sriniketan Chatmana. So Snigdha Smita, with his beautiful gentle smile, Avalokena, affectionate glances, Vacha Piyush Kalpaya, with his nectarian words, Charitrena Anavadyena, with his flawless behavior, he exhibited his transcendental beauty, because he is the abode of goddess of fortune, Sri Niketan. So that's how when Lord appears, he attracts each and every living entity in so many different ways. He doesn't leave a chance. You want to see something beautiful? See my form. You want to hear something? Hear my words, hear the flute sound. Bhagavatam describes 10th canto. When Krishna plays his flute, what happens? Nija samasakha sange gogana charana range vrindavane swachanda vihar Yarveno dhvani suni sthavara jangama prani pulaka kampa ashru bhedhar. When Krishna goes in the forest with his cowherd friends, Nija samasakha sange, tending the calves and the cows, as he's playing the flute, every person, animate and inanimate object gets attracted. Birds, they sit on the branches with eyes closed, hearing the flute of Krishna. Calves with the milk in their mouth, they can't even swallow the milk. They are stunned. Cows hear the beautiful flute. Deers hear the beautiful flute with their ears raised. Generally, the river flows towards the ocean like a chaste lady going to the husband. But hearing the flute sound of Krishna, the rivers can't flow. They start moving in whirlpool, trying to touch the feet of Krishna. So that's how, with so many of the wonderful characters, Krishna is attracting each and every living entity of this world. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in this purport, Lord is not attracted by the material beauty of the queens, because all the queens, they are not ordinary. They are also Chit Shakti. They are the manifestations of the internal potency of the Lord. So that's how. And Prabhupada writes a very wonderful purport. He says, negation of variegatedness of inferior energy does not necessitate negation of the positive transcendental bliss. Some people say, oh, this world is full of troubles. So I don't want any relationship in this world, and I don't want any relationship in the spiritual world also, because relation means problem. I don't want any relationship. But they don't understand that in spiritual world, relationship is full of sweetness. There is no problem in the relationship of the spiritual world. Although all emotions are there, envy is there, anger is there, pride is there, but they increase the rasa. Everybody wants to serve Krishna. Even gopis, they are envious of Radharani, Chandravali, Radharani, they are envious. But that envy is for serving Krishna. That is transcendental envy, nothing material. So Prabhupada writes that. And then Lord enjoyed his pastimes with the Yadu dynasty, and he would meditate on himself as an ideal householder, So he would get up in the morning, and do all the morning duties and sit and meditate on whom? On whom Lord will meditate. So he meditates on himself. So this is a beautiful painting. Lord is meditating on himself. It's just to show the example that everybody has to follow the principles of dharma. So the Lord, he was engaged in the household life, but he was not attached to them. So therefore, grihastha is externally attached, internally detached. That should be the mood of a householder. Externally, the householder may have to do all the duties, all the responsibilities, but internally, there should be detached consciousness. That is what Krishna is showing. And that's why in the end, he orchestrated the annihilation of his entire dynasty, showing that I am not attached to my family members also, on external level. So now, in the end, Uddhava is describing how Yadu dynasty was destroyed. So once all the great sages headed by Narada and Vyasa and all the big sages, they came in Dwaraka, in Prabhasa Kshetra, sorry, they were in Dwaraka, yeah. So then the Samba, one of the sons of Krishna, he was playing with other Yadu boys, and they wanted to make fun of the sages. Because these boys, they were thinking, oh, these sages, they are not doing anything. And they proclaim that they are very learned, they know everything. Let's see if they can, predict something. So they, put some cloth on the abdomen of Samba and, covered it, and they took him in front of these sages and told that, oh, this lady, this girl, she's pregnant. She's very shy. She wants to know, will she give birth to a boy or a girl? So all the sages, they became so angry. They said, she will give birth to the end of the Yadu dynasty. She'll give birth to a thing which will destroy the Yadu dynasty. So this pastime is very, very instructive. That if somebody offends great personalities, whoever he may be, he will not be, he will have to suffer. He will have to suffer the consequences. So even though the Yadu dynasty boys, they criticized the sages, they had to suffer the consequence. So after this, Lord sent all the Yadus to Prabhasa Kshetra, and there they did all the wonderful rituals. They offered oblation to the river there. They distributed food to the Brahmanas, and they give charity. And that's how this chapter ends. So in the last verse, Prabhupada writes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that Vrishnis, they had dedicated their life for Brahmanas. How can they insult the Brahmanas? So all this pastime was orchestrated by the Supreme Lord, so that the Yadu dynasty can go back. So in every Yadu, there was a Devata portion and there was a portion of eternal associate. Two people in one. So Krishna, he sent all the Devata portions to Prabhasa, and the eternal members of Yadu dynasty, they stayed in Dwaraka. So all the Devata portions were killed and they went back to their heavenly abodes. and all the eternal associates, they continued to stay in Dwarka. So that's the end of this chapter. So we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yes. The same body they stayed in Dwarka. Just a minute. Yeah, online devotees can also ask questions if you have. Yeah, so the question is, so when Krishna he sent all the Devata portions, so they in their bodies they went to Prabhasa, in their invisible form they stayed in Dwarka. Nobody could see that the eternal associates are still there in Dwarka, because Lord continues to perform his aprakat lila. Vrindavan is always there. All the Yadun, all the Dwarkavasis, Brajavasis, they are always residing there. Only we cannot see with our eyes. That is what happens. Yeah, they are there. Dwarka is eternal. Vrindavan is eternal. Just that it has unmanifested from our vision. So all the abodes of the Lord, they are eternal. Vrindavan is never destroyed. Jagannath Puri is never destroyed. It just gets unmanifested from our mundane vision. Just like when for them, spiritual world and material world doesn't matter, because they are Nitya Siddhas. They are performing the pastime with Krishna. For us, it matters. For us, it is material world or that is spiritual world. But for pure devotee, there is nothing like spiritual world and material world. They have their expansions also. It is not that, when all the associates came to earthly planet, spiritual abode was empty. No, it was their expansions. So devotees, they can expand. When Krishna came with Yashoda, Ananda, it was not that nobody was there in the Goloka. They are there. So that is the understanding. Now that Dwarka is only not there, like it says that Dwarka has gone down. Yes. So those eternal associates are there in this Dwarka, which is like, see, even if we cannot see the Dwarka, it is there. Dwarka is there eternally. Even if, just like, Vrindavan may not stay for long. The Vrindavan area may shrink, Govardhan is shrinking, but it is there eternally existing. Bhauma Vrindavan, it is always there. Just that it gets unmanifest from our eyes. So that is the understanding. It doesn't matter whether we can see or not see, but the potency is still there. That's why we go to holy places. One of the purport, Prabhupada writes that actually pure devotees of the Lord, they are not interested in going to holy places also. They don't leave the service to go to holy places. For them, service is more important. Going to holy places is a sense gratification for pure devotees. For pure devotees, wherever service is there, they will stay. For them, Anner Hriday Man Moraman Vrindavan Mane Vane Ekakori Jani, Mahaprabhu says. As Radhanath Swami Maharaj says, Vrindavan is not a place, it is a state of consciousness. So that's how the pure devotees are. They are there always performing pastimes with Krishna. Okay. Yes. He ruled for 35 years, and then Krishna disappeared after 35 years, and then immediately he departed. No, he did thrice. He did 3 after this winning the battle of Kurukshetra. He did 3 Ashwamedh Yajna. After that 3. No, he did Rajasuya Yajna before, and after that he did 3 Ashwamedh Yajnas. That's what mentioned in Bhagavatam. Because it's mentioned that Arjun went to get that was for Rajasuya Yajna. Yeah, when this entire palace was made and Maya Danav made Maya Sabha. So Krishna wanted, Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted to establish Krishna supremacy. And he also heard from Narad Muni. Narad Muni, when he came to this assembly, he described all the big assembly halls all over the universe. He described how Sudharma assembly is there, what is the assembly of Varuna Dev, and he described the assembly of Yamaraj also. And he said, in Yamraj, in the assembly of Yamraj, your father is still residing, Pandu. So as soon as he heard his father's name, he said, please tell me more about my father. He says, so Narad Muni said, your father is happy, but he has one request. He has requested that you please do this Rajasuya Yagya so that he can continue to stay in Pitriloka. So then, these are the two reasons. Because of the request of Pandu, and he wanted to establish Krishna as a supreme lord. So he did Rajasuya Yagya. Then he sent Arjuna in the north direction and other brothers in Bhima in the western direction and eastern direction, Nakula in the southern direction, Sahadev in the western direction, like that. And they conquered everybody. And after winning the war of Kurukshetra, Krishna, he made Yudhishthir perform 3 more Ashwamedha Yagya. Yes, Prabhu.
Just out of inquisitors wanted to know, when this queens, 60,000 odd queens were there together, so they could see only one Krishna or all of them?
They could see only one Krishna. When Krishna would enter one palace, everybody would think Krishna has come to my palace only. That is the same case with Rasalila also. The gopis were thinking Krishna is with me only. That's the same case when Krishna is with all the cowherd boys. All the gopas are thinking Krishna is with me only. Krishna is looking at me only. So when all the 16,000 Krishnas would come in the morning, they would come out separately and then they would combine as one Krishna and he would go to the Sudharma assembly. And then in the evening again, he would come back and divide into 16,000 and go into all these palaces. Sorry? Vaibhav Prakash.
He was actually not the king. King was Ugrasena.
Yes, king was Ugrasena. But everybody accepted Krishna as king. Just for the formality, Ugrasena was king, and that's what bewilders Uddhava, right? In the last chapter we heard, Uddhava is thinking, it pains me when I would hear Krishna standing with his hands folded in front of Ugrasena, telling him, oh my Lord, please tell me how can I serve you. So that's what, would bewilder Uddhava. Because Krishna is supremely powerful. He is a supreme Lord, and Ugrasena also knows. But because Krishna said, you become the king, he was serving as king. But he was known as Dwarkadish. So like that.
Yudhishthir Maharaj ruled for 35 years. What about the Rashtra Gandhari? Immediately after the war, they left for the war.
Yeah, so it comes in the first canto. Na? So when this Yudhishthir Maharaj and all, they started ruling, Vidura, he came back from pilgrimage. Because he was thinking, my brother is still not delivered. He was thinking to just help his brother. So Bhima, he was just throwing the remnants of food in front of Dhritarashtra. He says, so when Vidura, he comes and meets Dhritarashtra, he says, just see the desire to live. It is so strong that you are living like a pet dog, eating the thrown remnants of Bhima. Aho mahiyasi janto jivitasha yatha bhavan Bhima pavarjitam pindam adatte grihapalvat. You are living like a pet dog. Grihapal, So then he speaks strong words, and then next day only, that night only, Dhritarashtra departs along with Gandhari. So then after that, no, not that time. Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and this Vidura, they all depart. And Kunti Maharani departs after some time. I'm not sure about that. No, he went to pilgrimage again. He didn't want to stay in the kingdom. He just came back to deliver his brother. He had already taken renounced order. So he was thinking, my brother is still attached. So he gave strong words, and that's how he delivered his brother. So Dhritarashtra, he attained actually a mukti, but he could not get personal liberation because he offended Pandavas. So that is what is described there. Okay, so we'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes, I think there is a question. Yes, Mataji, you have a question? Mayapura Vasini Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. यस,
Yes, yes.
मैं फर्स्ट कैंटो पढ़ रही हूँ प्रभु जी. मेरा इस थर्ड कैंटो में नहीं है, फर्स्ट कैंटो में चल रहा है. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड, आई कैन नॉट स्पीक नाइसली इंग्लिश, दैट इज व्हाई.
नो प्रॉब्लम, बोलिए ना.
हाँ, तो उसमें हम ये 17वां अध्याय का 25वां श्लोक में तात्पर्य में प्रभुपाद ने लिखा है ना, जो 4 स्तंभ है हमारे. तो मैंने सुना है कि मांसाहार करने से दया नष्ट होता है, तपस्या, हाँ, नशा करने से तपस्या नष्ट होता है. ये है. तो 25वें श्लोक में लेकिन क्या है, अहंकार, इसमें क्या है, नशे से दया भी नष्ट होती है, उसमें ऐसा लिखा है. तो ये मुझे कंफ्यूज हो गया.
जनरली ऐसा ही है माताजी कि जो मांसाहार करने से दया, क्योंकि उसमें जानवरों के प्रति हिंसा होती है ना, पशुओं के प्रति हिंसा.
हाँ, हिंसा
तो वो है.
तो मेरे,
तो
हाँ,
उसके लिए वहां पे है, वो मेंशन किया.
लेकिन नहीं, इसमें क्या लिखा है, स्त्री संसर्ग के प्रति अतिरिक्त करने से स्वच्छता नष्ट होती है और नशे से दया भी नष्ट होती है. इसके तात्पर्य में ऐसा लिखा है. लेकिन
देखिए, हम लोग समझ
तो
सकते हैं कि यदि कोई व्यक्ति नशा करता है तो उसको अपने स्वाभाविक उसको ज्ञान नष्ट हो जाता है. तो नशा करने के पश्चात स्वाभाविक रूप से वो मांसाहार करता ही है. तो इसी प्रकार से वो प्रभुपाद जी वहां पे बता रहे होंगे. ठीक है,
ओके. क्योंकि हाँ, नशा से हम लोग क्या कहते हैं कि उससे तपस्या, हमारा
जी जो
वो तपस्या है ना, उसके इसमें, हाँ,
तो उससे स्वाभाविक रूप से जो मदिरा
हाँ,
पान कर रहा है वो स्वाभाविक रूप से मांसाहार भी करेगा ही, क्योंकि उसका बुद्धि वो भ्रष्ट हो जाता है.
ओके.
ओके. हरे कृष्णा. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
थैंक यू प्रभु जी. थैंक यू दंडवत प्रणाम.